Today's video is how to mold, compound mold balsa wood. Now we're doing our P47 project, and I'm going to show you how to mold this wood. First, I'd like to talk about the mold and how it's done. How you make this mold is that you take the formers, a copy of the former off the plan, and you cut it out, and I cut these out in light ply. And then I took a black felt tip marker and put a ring around that light ply. I hardened the light ply up with CA first so that we wouldn't sand through it, but then I put a mark on it with a black felt tip pen. Then I took a top view of the buck that I was going to make and drew a center line on it, and I cut it out of hardwood. This is a half-inch, like a basswood or pine, or I think this is pine. Then I set the ribs or the bulkheads on the stations and filled in between with pink foam. You can use any foam. And then you want to sand between the stations the shape that you want to end up with, and then finish that off. And after receiving or shaping this buck into the shape that I wanted, I painted it with Minwax polyurethane and sanded it smooth. Now this particular buck is 10 years old. This will be the fourth Thunderbolt built on this buck. And so once you make this buck, it can be used over and over and over again, as long as you do a good job making it. And how you get the wood prepared for this project is, first we need to know how long a piece of wood we need, but we're going to mold this in two sections because this is the bottom piece, and we're going to have a split on the bottom so that I can get at the electrics. So we have 27, so it's 36.5 inches long, and that's alright. Then we're going to have to know a few measurements on the widest points of this of the wood we need to cut out. So you find the station that's the largest, and I add a ½ inch on each side. So there we go. When we come down here, we have 7 1/4 on that, on the largest station. And I probably should get a piece of paper to write these things down with. So here we go. We have 7 1/4, 7.25 on the largest. And on the smallest, which is the end of the station here, we have 3 inches. 3 inches. So 36 long, 3 inches on the end, 7 1/4 on the widest. Now, the widest part is also the split part. So on the front here, we need 6 1/2. 6.5. So we're going to make a piece of wood that's in a pollywog shape so that we can relieve it. But as I stated, the front of this piece here will be molded separately, and I'll show you why. This is my fuselage that I've shown in the other video, and what I decided to do is I'm going to make this a side loader, but I'm going to need to be able to access the bottom of this to get the motor in and out, and just move the different electronics around inside here. So I'm also going to plot out the side load door for it as well today. But I want to split this. Piece that I'm going to make right at this bulkhead right here. So it's going to come off here so we can get at the electrics. And then this bottom piece will stay on. So we kind of have to figure out where that split is going to be, and it's right on that line where, so this particular mold is 10 years old, and this fuselage is an exact duplicate of what I built 10 years ago because I'm using the same patterns. So the split line is right there. That's good. So today, my theory, layout, and engineering of the side load battery. I wasn't going to do that, but for any of you who have flown electric or even thought about flying electric, when I saw Bob Hunt's top loader, that was a real valid way to do things for a jet style airplane. Well, this is obviously not a jet style airplane. We can't take the nose off of this airplane. I suppose you could, but it really wouldn't be all that, artistically pleasing. But you're going to have some type of access to the battery. But anyway, the reason why I'm, figuring out some type of way to get the battery in there without, I don't like having to turn the airplane over and set it on some type of stand to put the battery in and out, is every time you're handling this airplane, you're standing a chance to damage it. So the more you turn it over, the more damage you're going to get on the top of the airplane. So I want to be able to set it on the ground, open the door, put the battery in, and then go fly. I don't want to be handling it, moving it around all kind of different fixtures and things. So we're going to make this a side loader. Anyway, back to the molding. So we have 3 at the tail post. We have 7 1/4 at our split here. That's how big this piece is going to be at the cowl line, so to speak. It is more or less a cowl line. So there's a lot of thought that has to go into this. Now I would like a nice clean line on this, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a square and sand the end of this off so that it's a nice clean line, and we're going to start with the first piece. Now this is 3/32 balsa wood. It's straight grain. And of the pieces of wood that I have, I've chosen the wood that bends the easiest. I would rather give up a little bit of weight for something that bends easy. So we know this is the tight spot. The center line of the buck is the tight spot where it's going to be, the pressure is going to be on it. So I want to first cut it to length. I'm going to measure it here. And when I say measure, I'm just guessing on this, and we're going to make a mark and cut this off. I do all the cutting with a square. It's a pretty handy way to do things. That way there's not a whole lot of sanding to make it square. And just hold it up there like that and sand her square. This will probably be cut off again, but better to be safe than sorry. Okay, so now we have our piece of wood for the cowl that we're going to make. And we're going to doesn't matter which way I bend this piece of wood, it's pretty much the same both ways. So we want to get a center line on this. This is where we're going to be the high point. You can just eyeball it. This is how my eye works. It's you know, pretty close to center. I would say it's probably within a 32nd, but we'll measure and see. We have 1 7/8 there. 1 7/8 there. So it's exactly center, just by eye. See, your eye is really, really close. But we're going to need a second piece because we're going to have to join the outside. So we're going to take and square off the other piece. I'm going to weigh these skins up to see how much they do weigh. Now obviously we're not going to join just one side. I know that you say, well, why would you want to join two? Well, if you join one side you have an uneven line and you kind of want to keep the pressure the same, or the stress the same on both sides. So I split this in two. And it only takes one cut for a straight line. So I sure hope you guys are getting something out of these videos, because it's a lot of work to make them. I know they're boring. I've been watching the metrics on this, and the average person only watches these videos for 9 minutes. According to my analytics, I guess I could make them 9 minutes long. And move my metrics up, but I don't know. Anyway, we're going to join one piece on each side. I suppose you could probably get away with doing it one-sided, but that's just not me. I think the most important part of this joining operation is laying it on the glass. Well, I've raided the kitchen again and got out the wax paper. So I'm going to show you how to relieve the wood today. You know, for the longest time, I tried this compound molding, and I gave up. You know, it just didn't work for me until I saw Billy and Bob Hunt do it. And once I saw how they did it and what I'm showing you here, it became absolutely like no-brainer. I don't know what I was thinking when I was trying to do that. Probably about the same as I was doing on my hinges, I guess. So you want to force these two pieces of wood together, the seam. Put a dot. I put tape on my finger. We get to try out my new sanding bar today. So we have those tacked, and we're doing the same thing here. Now, I've had people say, well, they don't use CA. Well, I guess you could do this with white glue, but what a mess that would be. And then we're just going to run a line down here. I got this stupid stinger too long. I was gluing something that needed a long stinger, so just cut that off. I'm thinking about doing some more interviews. You guys interested? Let me know in the comment box. Okay. Now I'm looking for my new sanding block. Where the heck? There it is, the DuraBlock. I love this DuraBlock. It's I don't know why I didn't find this long ago. Got 320 on it. I had first sanded it with 80 to make sure that back to 80 get any of the clods off from the CA. Don't want any hard spots. Yeah, normally what happens is the paper becomes glued a little bit to the wood, and that's okay. But if you feel it, you can feel this is going to be the outside. You want this absolutely flat. So on the glass, we're going to sand off any of the paper that's stuck to it, and we're going to make these level. That way it becomes like one piece of wood. And the seams basically just disappear. And that's what you want. Now back to 320. And this is our cowl. Now I want to make sure that this end here is perfectly square. Because that is where the two pieces are going to meet together. It's going to be a cowl break line. So in order to do that, I'm going to come to the edge of the bench. I'm not sure you guys can see this, but I have to get this square where I can set it on the glass, because we're going to sand off, looks to be about a 1/16 of an inch on 1/2. Okay, there you have our skin. Got the line on one side, and this is our cowl, the nose. So, I'm going to set this aside. We're going to make up the back half next, and that's a little more complicated, but not bad. This was a straight piece that I'm going to cut according to my measurements. In a moment, but we'll do the back half, but I'm going to take a break. We'll be right back.